So many problems. Our taxes are too high. We're going to reduce them. Our borders are weak. Our regulations are crazy. Drugs are pouring into our country. People are coming into the country that we really shouldn't have come into the country. We have drug lords and criminals and murderers. And I mean, what's going on in this country is incredible. Hillary wants open borders where people can just flow through. We're not going to have a country anymore. We are going to do something very special, and tomorrow I think is going to be a special day at a special place.
Did you have fun at the Al Smith dinner? Did you mind getting booed a little bit?
I did. Yeah. No, look, we say what's true, and some people don't like hearing it, but we say what's true.
That's a pretty liberal crowd, though.
A lot of her people in there.
Yeah,
no, that's okay. It was a great dinner. It was a great dinner. No, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
All right. Did you get in trouble when you went home to Melania last night?
No, I didn't. She was great. She understood. That was probably the moment of the evening. People loved it.
All right. Mr. Trump, have fun on the campaign trail. I know you got a lot more to get to today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John.
And coming up next tonight, right here on Hannity.
If Hillary Clinton gets elected, we've got 4 more years of Obama. We have a disaster. We have ISIS all over.
Donald Trump continuing to go after Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail. The original insurgent, Patrick J. Buchanan, will join us, and also tonight.
Behind the Department convening policies and being alert to potential threats will help protect all of us.
Well, that was Hillary Clinton back in 2010 talking to her staff at the State Department about the real importance of cybersecurity. Pretty hypocritical. Frank Luntz, Pat Goodell, they're here with reaction and more as we continue tonight on Hannity.
100 sandals.
We have a bunch of babies running our country, folks. We have a bunch of losers. They're losers. They're babies. We have a president. All he wants to do is campaign. His wife, all she wants to do is campaign. If Hillary Clinton gets elected, we've got 4 more years of Obama. We have a disaster. We have ISIS all over. We won't win anymore, and your taxes are going up, and she wants to double up and triple up on Obamacare, which has to be repealed and replaced. It's a disaster. We are going to start making things in America again. We are going to start making things in North Carolina again. We are bringing back our jobs. America first. Remember that.
All right, that was Donald Trump earlier today at a rally in North Carolina as he looks to build momentum ahead of Election Day. My next guest, the original insurgent, Patrick J. Buchanan, he penned a new article about the panic within the Republican establishment, writing, quote, "The establishment is horrified at Donald's defiance because deep within its soul, it fears that the people for whom Trump speaks no longer accept its political legitimacy or moral authority." Joining us now with reaction, the author of The Greatest Comeback, Patrick J. Buchanan. Pat, I agree 100%. There's a political earthquake that is going on. And in 20 days, there's going to be a huge discussion about the future of the Republican Party. One of the things most frustrating to me is when 65% in every primary poll of Republicans saying they feel betrayed and voting in record numbers for Trump, and then the establishment stepping all over him, being more critical to him than either Obama or Hillary, I think they have totally miscalculated the mood of the public. Your thoughts?
I'll tell you, Sean, it's not only the Republican establishment, the national establishment has lost the country. Trump's great accomplishment is to expose the fact that the establishment of this country is responsible for insecure borders, the masses coming across our borders, invading our country. They're responsible for the trade deals that have deindustrialized America and destroyed the jobs of millions of American workers. And they're responsible for getting us into endless and unwinnable wars. And he has exposed the disconnect between the national establishment, frankly, and the American people. And that is a great achievement for him. And WikiLeaks, Sean, has come along and exposed the fact that the core of the establishment, the media, is basically in cahoots with the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party.
Pat, what we have learned, and that's another fight that we'll have November 9th this year, because this needs to be exposed in even more detail. But, of course, with our election coverage, we don't have the full time to devote to it. But you've got a Republican establishment, a Democratic establishment, a globalist establishment, and a media establishment that is all sort of, in ways we never dreamed of, aligned together. And it's now all been exposed, but I don't think the American people are absorbing the magnitude of that to this point. Will they absorb it within the next 18 days?
You know, I think, let me say this, Sean, the enormous fire and energy and size of the Trump rallies, the magnificent turnout inside the Republican Party for Cruz and for Trump, the huge turnout for Bernie Sanders, the fact that Trump, as of about 3 or 4 weeks ago, was tied with Hillary and had momentum, that tells you the country wants to be rid of this establishment. The way we are going now, we could get a real possibility that the Republican elites who were repudiated in the primaries and in their party, and the Democratic elites who basically fixed it against Bernie, they will together control the destiny of the country, and we will have a nation whose establishment represents Washington, not the nation it is supposed to serve. I think we're headed for some very difficult times, and frankly, some of these tactics that you have mentioned on your show about these folks in Chicago are really somewhat more disturbing than some of the things that happened in Watergate.
You know, I mean, look at what they're saying. You know, I just showed this to Mr. Trump. You got Hillary's campaign, Pat, paying the DNC, paying Democracy Partners paying an activist group that is on tape bragging about taking credit for violence at Trump events. It's organized everywhere, putting in these people to intimidate others, and massive voter fraud on a level. Again, both these things funded, according to their own words, by Hillary and her campaign.
Let's talk about the individuals that they allegedly. Now, if it is true that they sent people out to start fistfights and maybe ignite a riot and disrupt and destroy the Trump rally, if they were behind the Chicago thing, and if they were paid by the Clinton campaign, we are talking about the Clinton campaign financing brown shirt tactics in the streets of Chicago. I mean, they have called, you've been called, and I've been called fascist for something we said. Look, what took place in the attempt to disrupt and destroy a Democratic rally, those are fascist tactics in the streets of Chicago. I was in Chicago in 1968. Abe Ribicoff used that phrase, but he was attacking the Chicago cops, Sean. But if people are doing this, that's what Goebbels and Rome and the others did with the brown shirts.
Yeah. I want to know if they're saying in their own words is Hillary's campaign pays the DNC pays Democracy Partners pays for those fomenting violence and plotting and scheming voter fraud. Is it a fair question? What did Hillary know? When did she know it? What did her campaign know? When did she know it? And by the way, this guy, this operative who oversaw the whole thing, he went to the Obama White House 342 times. What did Obama know? And when did he know it?
Exactly. You know, Sean, the great question is if. Was this guy just shooting his mouth off and nothing happened and he wasn't paid for anything and he had some legitimate reason to go to the White House 300 times? But let me say this. I was in the White House in 1968, October 15th. They found out the dirty trickster, Donald Zagretti, had been sending pizzas to a Muskie rally. I mean, we had an emergency meeting in the White House. The FBI was all over this like a cheap suit. Where is they ought to immediately have this guy in and take a look at this and talk to the people involved in those riots in Chicago and question them as to whether somebody paid them. And does anybody know if these individuals, again, are just shooting their mouth off or they did what they're talking about? I mean, they were fired instantly. That suggests to me that the people that fired them know they were up to no good.
Yeah. All right, Pat, we're going to watch this. What's your prediction? How's this all going to play out? Who do you think is going to win this?
I think the Donald's behind the 8 ball right now, and what he's got to do, he's got to raise his polls basically in the general national polls from about at least 2 or 1 behind him, and that's the only way I think you're going to tip the whole thing over. He's got to win Florida, Ohio, North Carolina.
Yep.
Nevada, and Iowa, and then he's short by about 5 if he holds on to Arizona, of course, Texas, of course, and Georgia. So it's an uphill climb. He knows it, I'm sure, as do the folks, and I think there's still an outside chance to get that inside straight.
Listen, Pat Buchanan, nobody thought you'd beat a sitting president in New Hampshire, did they?
No, they didn't, but then they beat me in 33.
Well, you could have stopped right there. It was a pretty big victory.
And listen, in 92, Sean, I didn't win it, but they thought in the White House I did win in New Hampshire.
All right, Pat Buchanan, the original insurgent. Thank you. And up next tonight, right here on Hannity.
She said, I can't recall 39 times. Well, that's a lie, because everything there she could recall.
All right, highlights from Donald Trump's rally today in Pennsylvania. We'll check in with Frank Luntz, Pat Caddell. They're here. Plus, more WikiLeaks revelations. The leaked emails now reveal Hillary Clinton's role in soliciting money from her family foundations, for her family foundation, allegedly runs far deeper than we all thought. Mercedes Schlapp, Charlie Hurt, they're here with reaction as Hannity continues.
Yesterday, you read the story of a great 4-star general who told one story to the FBI. They said it wasn't true, might have been a lie. And guess what? His life is destroyed. He could go to jail for 5 years. She lied over and over and over and over. 39 times, right? She said to the FBI on July 4th weekend, not recorded and not sworn in. Not recorded and not sworn in. She said, I can't recall 39 times. Well, that's a lie, because everything there she could recall.
Donald Trump slamming Hillary Clinton over her ongoing server scandal. Also today, Fox News obtained a video from 2010 showing Hillary Clinton actually lecturing her staff at the State Department about, get this, using cybersecurity. Watch.
Protecting our cyber infrastructure and digital networks has to be an effort of national security as well as economic privilege. I think this is a responsibility we all share as Americans, but as State Department employees, we have a special duty to guard ourselves and our sensitive information. The Bureau of Diplomatic Security and IT staff work around the clock to defend us against cyber attacks. But the real key to cybersecurity rests with you. Complying with Department doing policies and being alert to potential threats will help protect all of us. Because together we can do our part to improve the security of the State Department and of our nation.
All right, joining us now with reaction polls to Frank Luntz and Fox News contributor Pat Caddell. Mr. Luntz, all right, I was impressed. Donald Trump, according to the Frank Luntz focus groups, won 2 of the 3 debates. That's a very high bar.
Yes, it is a high bar, but the challenge for him now is he's running 5 or 6 points behind. And, Sean, there is still a path. It's a very small one, very narrow one. But that path goes based on rhetorical questions, and I'm going to give you 3 that you can ask again and again between now and Election Day. Is America safer today than it was 8 years ago? Does Hillary Clinton have the honesty and integrity to be President of the United States? And who is more likely to hold Washington accountable? If that is the focus, you can change millions of voter minds. The question is, will there be that discipline?
All right, what was the
and
last
will there
one?
be that focus?
Does Hillary Clinton, what was the last one?
Last one is, who is more likely to hold Washington accountable?
All right, Pat Caddell, what are your thoughts where we stand?
I think we stand, it's a little unclear because the polls are everywhere. And I find a lot of them pretty confusing, and I think I understand the business. But I think that he's several points behind probably. But I think that there's more than a small pathway. I think there's a big pathway. The basic attitudes in this country are structured against the incumbent party, against Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. If Donald Trump can rise to making this a referendum, even bigger than what Frank Luntz is saying, the real issue here is who owns America, the people or the political class? Whose ox is being gored? The people know it's theirs. They believe the system is rigged against them economically. Trump's got to put these questions, and the question of do we continue to